What's up, dude?
What's up? Welcome to The Word.
Welcome to the Word Podcast.
You sound like Dan doing the David Allen Boucher. So good.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. Little solo. Fun fact for the people out there.
Ooh, I love a fun fact.
We're behind on episodes. Had a kid.
How is that kid?
That kid's doing good.
Yeah?
Walker, cool, chilled little dude.
Yeah?
Yep, he's probably sleeping right now. We tried to record anyway though.
We did, and we had an epic tech failure.
Epic.
Tried
Tried to get the home studio together. It did not work.
We're going old school, back in person.
Back in person, no guests. And we got some topics we want to talk about.
That's because the guests that we have today are the best guests we've had,
Wow.
and they're us.
Guests / co-hosts today joining us on The Word are ourselves. It's like that Snoop Dogg meme. I want to thank me for coming to the podcast today.
Yeah. I mean, people tune in to listen to us, so why not give them us?
Maybe. We got a lot of good press about boxing with your mind. Did you like that title?
Yeah, I love that title.
I thought it was
You got good press about that?
yeah, a lot of people loved the story. I think a lot of the retail guys really loved the shrink talk.
The shrink. You get a lot of comments on the shrink talk.
Oh, I had to just send it to a few people. Like, dude, you need to hear this because like there was a dude we used to work with who like 100% used to do that, but never went on record and told us he did that. But like we would always joke that he was kind of like this thuggish dude
Yeah.
who like beat shrink into line, and I just thought it was funny. The guy just called it out. It was a cool story. So
I thought it was great. I got a lot of calls about asking me if I could get paid in cigarettes. Several people asked me if I accepted payment in cigarettes, and for the record, it is not anymore. There probably was a day. You know, if they said smoking was good for you, I would never not have a cigarette in my mouth.
Really?
Like I love smoking. The second they say that cigarettes are good for you, like just all bets are off. I will nonstop smoke.
Never smoked in my life, not once, ever.
Best thing ever.
Is it though?
It was.
It's kind of gross.
It was.
Kind of gross.
So
Kinda
good.
gross.
So good. Anyhow.
Someone told me that I believe it's probably California because it sounds like California would do this. That there's a certain year coming up in the near future that basically moving forward, you will never be able to buy tobacco products. Not when your age hits. It's like there's just
no age. Like if you were born after.
It's going to be illegal sunset through attrition.
It's a smart move. I mean, it is highly addictive and
3 minutes
terribly
in,
dangerous.
3 minutes in, here we are talking about
California cigarette laws.
That's it.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Who knew? Well,
knew?
On our agenda for today is we were going to talk
Light
about
agenda.
And, you know, like the word typically does, we're going to just follow it where it goes.
Yeah.
And see what gems we can come up with. I mean, we loosely, when we strategized this on our pre-call, we talked about doing trust and estates and how it relates to real estate.
Yeah.
Although
good topic.
A stimulating topic and one that I am intimately involved in, versed in, you know, well, let's see where it takes us. So
yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So, all right. So
let's talk about trusts, right? So
I do have a trust.
Yeah, I wasn't going to disclose that, but thank you for disclosing that. So one of the things that I've been thinking about recently, because you said something when we started this about having a baby, right? So one of the things that I've been thinking about is we need to amend your documents to account for Walker. Well,
doesn't it just like perpetually include all future children?
It does, but wouldn't you be pissed if you were Walker and it only talks about Kennedy? Like, I mean, 15 years from now, you'd be like, what the
Is he a trustee? Does he get to read it?
I mean, eventually, he's not a trustee yet, but he could be someday.
Well, now that we're on the record,
yeah,
I guess the right thing for me to do is say yes.
Yeah.
I think the right thing to do is to amend.
Always. But I guess the point of that conversation is that these are, you know, one of the things, I don't know why I started here, but
we're talking about trusts.
Yeah.
And how I had a trust.
Yeah. That they're
think-
like living, breathing things, right?
Yeah,
So like these are. I always like to say they're not like rotisserie chickens. Like you just don't set it
remember
and
that-
forget it.
That article that was great. Is your
Yeah.
trust or is your estate like a rotisserie chicken? And I wanted to be like, I hope it is, because man, rotisserie chickens are freaking delicious.
They are.
I don't know how you make them,
You buy them at BJ's or Costco, or
but I
Whole
sometimes
Foods.
just want to make it myself and have it be as good.
Your arm might get tired if you don't have like the machine to.
I get a Weber, man. I can make this happen.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't think they do them on a grill though. I think they do them in the oven.
Well, they do them. Yeah, but so what?
What do you mean? Oh,
No,
are you
it's
trying to make the point that the grill can be like an oven?
I think that the grill has heat transferability and can cook things just fine.
Yeah.
If you go low and slow and have the rotisserie schwamp, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that it would probably be delish. I would venture to say, go on record, that it doesn't matter what you do to that thing. It's never going to be as good as the $6
supermarket,
store bought one. Which, how is it? Why do I have to buy the raw chicken? It's more freaking expensive. Like, this doesn't. And I could put all this work in. I mean, to rotisserie that thing,
and the gas that it's going to take to.
I
burn.
might have to go through several tanks of propane just to get one rotisserie done. But when you make them, you got to make 2 to 3. I can't eat that many chickens in a week. I'm not a meal prep guy. I'm ordering Nutra all of a sudden.
Nutra.
Listen,
A
just
new
buy,
sponsor opportunity.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Someone asked me today.
We don't have any LaCroix.
So if you just Google Nutra, if you're into meal prep, just Google it. They're running a March Madness sale right now.
I didn't know about that.
50% off your order. I didn't know either. Jessica from my team let me know after she asked me for a coupon. I didn't freaking have one. She Googled it, found one.
You
in
have
8
a
seconds.
coupon in your account. I sent you a coupon a long time ago.
I didn't use it. Can I use it now? Can I
No,
still use it after
no,
I'm using it?
no,
Can I
you're already
sign?
customer.
I'm going to sign Jen up and get 50%
Oh,
off.
you could do that and then just switch to Jen's
Nutra, if you're
account.
listening, we're going
We're
to
not
find you.
doing that.
We're DMing this to you. You got to let us know, because
We're going to at Nutra.
at Nutra,
Yeah.
and you should meal prep. Anywho, point being, I can't make the rotisserie.
So I was at an event last night. Well, let's finish the rotisserie and then we'll
Wait
get
till
to,
we get back to trust.
Yeah. So the rotisserie chickens, like, are those bad for the environment then? If it takes that much fossil fuel to fuel the oven to spin the chicken, like, are they dirty? Are chickens dirty energy rotisserie chickens?
This is a controversial topic. After the main reel, Brendan,
Yeah.
I can't even believe that you're going to cancel chickens.
I'm not going to cancel them. I mean, I have a gas guzzler, so like, I'm not opposed to using a lot of energy to cook a chicken.
One of my clients recently, unrelated but related to chickens, recently asked me if I wanted fresh chicken. Oh, it's for my omelet post.
For eggs?
Yeah, for fresh eggs, because Nick Sands taught me how to better make. Shout out Nick. How to better make an omelet. I didn't use this trick anyway, but I think I became patient enough to make the perfect omelet. Then I posted, I spelt it wrong. Everyone DM'd me and said I don't know how to spell freaking omelet. Thanks for the compliments on the actual omelet. It was delicious.
It didn't red line you?
What does that mean?
Like the red line underneath when you spell it wrong.
It was just like in the caption. So
Yeah,
I posted in the story. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So essentially what happened is then literally all these people who literally never comment anything positive on any of my posts about actually anything.
Posted.
Just like say, hey, it's spelled with 2 E's, you jerk. And I'm like, thanks, bro. I'm over here celebrating. I just crushed it with my omelet.
Yeah.
And all you got to say is
that
be
the
a
one you
hater.
told me about?
No, that was the day before. The second
Okay.
one, even better.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So have you thought about
Put some bacon in that one, and it was delicious.
Oh, bacon makes everything better.
So from that post,
Yeah.
back to the chickens.
Yeah.
I got a fresh delivery from Lane. Thanks. Shout out Lane in the hood over in Winthrop. She's got a lot of chickens.
Lane, I live in Nahant.
They're
If you
she's
travel,
cranking out a day.
whoa.
And I was like, Lane, any
Lane,
thoughts?
I'll take some.
Any thoughts of selling? Who cares about interest rates when
Yeah.
you're producing this many freaking chicken eggs? You can just trade up into anything you want.
Well, I feel like everybody's talking about the price of eggs.
Oh,
Like,
it's not-
how much are her eggs?
They're back down. Well, she actually just comped
She just comped them.
me. Yeah,
Lane, if you can make it to Nahant, I will take some.
Well, do you think she's going to drive?
I'll pick them
tonight?
up. I'm in East Boston once a week.
Do you think she's going to drive? We're going to start running an egg trafficker out of the
I mean-
third wing here at Reference.
That's not a bad idea. Like an
Egg
organic
station.
market.
You know they don't have to be refrigerated?
Well, like in Mexico, when you go to Mexico, the eggs are just on the counter.
That's because they came out of chickens' butts.
Well, yeah. Where else?
You don't have to freeze them. You don't have to freeze them.
I don't freeze eggs.
You don't have to put.
I mean, I'm not in charge of managing the eggs at our house.
You don't have to put real eggs in the fridge at all, unless you wash them. If you wash them,
it ruins the coating, right?
That's it.
So we get our eggs from Walden
Farm.
Yeah.
The meat place.
Yeah. So I don't know if we have to. We do refrigerate them, but I don't know if you have to, because I would assume they're the same kind of eggs from like the local chickens.
Well, here's the deal. After all of this, I wonder if Lane would let us potentially rotisserie chicken
one of her chickens when they're done. When she's done with it,
she's not listening. Yeah, I mean, it's like sometimes.
I mean, it might become a real.
It could
like Lane's chicken, like flying into a rotisserie.
No. She follows me on Instagram. We can't do that. Don't do that, guys. But. I just don't understand why I can't make the chicken like the rotisserie chicken at Stop and Shop for $6. It doesn't make any sense.
It just makes no sense. So
10 minutes in, we said trusts.
We're going to get to trust, but Nutra.
Great meal prep.
So I was at an event last night, and someone asked me for the pictures because, I like to take pictures when I'm somewhere with everybody I run into. So this person asked me for pictures, and I had sent you a picture of my dinner.
Right.
And somehow that picture got sent to this person. And this morning they were like, 47 grams of protein. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
Send that to me. I want to order it, and ask him for the code. Send her the code. Another Nutra client. Thank you, Nutra.
So I think through the pyramid scheme of Nutra, we've hooked up at least a half a dozen clients. Once you pop in the East for 40 Spotify listeners here, I mean, God knows y'all's business could be growing up.
I mean, we could blow that up.
Well, maybe not blow it up. We might push it up.
They're locals, right? Like they're in Peabody from
I didn't know that.
Toscanos in Peabody, like by Bonkers, I think.
Bonkers.
Over there off Route 1 on Lowell Street.
Yeah, tracking with you.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's the kids, I think, of the people that own Toscanos that started Nutra.
Yeah.
And then they just drop them off.
Yeah.
Who drops them off at your house?
I'm not home in the middle of the day.
Wait, what day do they come?
Monday.
Oh.
It's great.
Ours comes Sunday morning, like at 8 o'clock.
Ours are like 11 on Monday.
Okay, because you get the text message saying you're our next stop, and we just delivered. Yeah,
put your bag out, you slob.
Yeah, I never. I mean, every now and then we have a couple bags built up because I forget.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love the pork Cuban bowl. Delish.
So I haven't had that yet, but I have it in the refrigerator. It might be tomorrow night.
If you're a Cuban guy, it's a great lunch bowl.
Yeah. Oh, lunch. Maybe I'll have it for lunch tomorrow.
Yeah, it's delish. Jerk chicken, delish.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry, jerk shrimp. Delish.
Oh, I didn't. We don't order the seafood.
Get it?
Okay. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is the tail on the shrimp?
Nope.
Okay.
There's a lot of them too.
Really?
Maybe 15 of those MFers in there.
Like size?
They're the small guys.
They're
probably what are they? The 25, 36. I don't know what the shrimp.
U25 or something.
They're smaller than that. You're the seafood guy.
I am not the seafood guy. My dad's the seafood guy. Oh, those are small. Those are like
they're probably like 35 to 40s or something. Yeah, that's listen, delish.
You're not mad at them.
Nope.
Right.
Maple chicken, guys. I don't know. Not for me.
I'm not wild about the cauliflowers.
Sprouts, a little bland.
Have you had the Mediterranean farro chicken salad?
Nope, but I'm ordering it next time on your
I get like 6 a week.
Recommend.
Yeah.
What did I have though?
They're my go-to lunch.
I had something with some feta and it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that though.
So we started this when one of my paralegals was like, "You need to fix your life," and yeah,
and the same remains true today.
Yeah, I still need to fix my life, but she was like, "You leave work so late at night. Like, what are you going home and either cooking or ordering out for? Like, just get a meal service."
So we did the same thing. We were sitting in the hospital and obviously about to go home and tough support system, So short, I was like, I'm just going to do this so we can, because with Kennedy we had to tag off and we ordered out a lot and just insult to injury, right? So this is get home 3 minutes, pretty good.
Do you have an air fryer?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we put it in the air fryer
with the plastic on.
No, we put it on we have like a small baking pan that we put tinfoil on, dump it on, put it in the air fryer. How do you do it?
It literally says for best use. Put in the microwave.
We don't have a microwave.
What?
Yeah, we don't have a microwave.
Well, there's this thing called the internet.
Yeah.
You can go to any local store, Home Depot, Lowe's, Target, Walmart, Best Buy, Amazon.com. Geez, I don't know. I bet you a Price Chopper right near you probably even stocks a few. Why just pick up a little countertop micro, man?
We made a conscious decision not to have a microwave.
Because you hate radiation.
Yes.
How's that working for you?
I haven't looked back in the 10 years since we got rid of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We also don't have kids, though.
Micro.
So we use the air fryer.
Put it right in that Thermador microwave with the drawer.
Yeah.
3 minutes. Film on.
Yeah.
Really put the plastic in there.
Yeah.
I want it.
You want the contamination?
I want all the toxins
Yeah.
to flood my bloodstream.
Yeah.
And, rip that plastic off. Sometimes it burns your hand a little bit. And dig in right in the plastic tin. I don't have time for this.
And so, no, we have a Breville, like, countertop oven.
You make it look like a real dinner.
Yeah, and I put it on tin foil, and I flip both. I take the plastic off,
your
flip
table like a domestic person.
With a placemat and a fork and knife.
I carry mine around the house, and I shovel it into my face as fast as possible.
That's how I eat my lunch at my desk.
Yeah.
But I don't know. At home, we're supposed to be a little more dignified, apparently.
Yeah.
It's not working, but
don't have time.
We keep trying.
I don't have time. We're in survival mode.
Yeah.
So shovel it in, bath time, and we're just like, I guess I'm going to bed.
Are you doing so? One of the things we did is when I order, I filter through the calorie restricted ones. So I'm getting like all under 500 calorie meals too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't even looked at the caloric intake of any of these. I just presume that they are extremely low.
Yeah, they probably are, and they're portion controlled, so we're not eating, ridiculous amounts, which I do when we cook.
I actually started tracking calories recently, and all that told me is I don't eat enough.
Yeah, like on MyFitnessPal.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be eating like 22 to 2,800, and I barely on most days break 1,600.
Oh, interesting. But they always say that the way to lose weight is to cut your calories.
Well, you can definitely run a calorie deficit, and you will not gain weight.
But you won't lose it either.
Right. I also think it depends on what type of 1,600 calories you're eating.
Like a bag of Doritos
sodium-filled, nonsensical Chinese food. Probably not the right calories to mainline.
What about Starburst jelly beans by the bag? Sugar? Sugar's good, right? For weight loss?
I think you might need some insulin support if that is the case.
Have you heard about the Ozempic?
Other than, for some reason, Jen sings the commercial over again because it's
catchy.
Kind of catchy.
Well, everybody's on it for weight loss.
Oh, interesting.
And they're just taking the Ozempic shot, stop eating, and everybody's losing weight.
Sign me up.
Yeah. But I think I read you blow up like a tick when you come off it.
Oh,
yeah.
Unsubscribe.
Well, and they're now on like they're running out of it.
Unfortunate. Let's give it back to the people who need it.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like Adderall. Also running out of that.
Are we?
I think so. I think there was a Adderall crunch, an Ozempic crunch, maybe some other stuff. I don't know. Anyhow, so yeah, we do these things called trusts and estates.
If you need a code to Nutra, DM us at on Instagram. We will hook you up with a great promo code.
We should get a promo code. Maybe Nutra would send us a promo code for the listeners.
I'm gonna pretend like we already have.
Yeah, we're look in the like and subscribe box in the comments section.
Your local meal prep opportunity. We just gave you a ton of press over 10 minutes. Sign us up for the code.
Thanks, Peabody guys.
DM us. We will hook you up. It is a great way to stay in shape, eat quick while you're at work, and stop being a fat slob ordering Uber Eats
it's not worth it
every single week when you can have a great meal from Nutra. Hit it.
Well, you know what is good to wash down a Nutra meal with?
A great tasty LaCroix, of course.
LaCroix. I always have a LaCroix close by when I am sitting at the table with the placemat out, eating my Nutra meal, and I just chase it with a couple LaCroix. And then I recycle them.
Do you think if I, there you go, you're trying to earn back the main people on the brownie points?
No, I'm not. No. As my mother would say, we like east of the main turnpike.
Yeah. Do you think if I only have water via LaCroix, it's healthy?
Yes.
I was very confident.
Yeah. I mean, they say you're supposed to drink X liters of water a day. I don't think they make a different liter milliliters or liters.
Who's measuring? What are we in England?
Well, how else do you measure water?
Ounces?
Oh. Don't all the things say liters on them?
They also say ounces because that's what we do in America.
America? I'm pretty sure, like, aren't they like 750 milliliters?
Do you put you in all of your vowel-based words like color?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, I was just checking.
Yeah.
Do you measure in meters?
No.
Okay. What about centimeters?
Sometimes.
Kilograms?
Well, for baking, kilograms is best.
Is it?
Yeah.
Says who?
Says all the cookbooks.
Really?
Like you're supposed to have a scale and measure out your ingredients.
Does it not do ounces and pounds?
I don't know. All the recipes say G's or kgs.
Kgs.
Yeah, depending on how much you need.
Probably because they don't want to publish a multi-version.
Aren't they more precise? Or is there no difference? Like, I don't know. Like, science wasn't my thing. That's why I'm a lawyer.
Wow. Aren't they more precise?
I don't know. There must be a reason why the metric system is used.
It's because when and I don't actually know the answer to this, but I'm going to presume when we decided to flip England, the bird, and hightail it out of there back
like
in
in
1716. No, 1600s, bro.
No, the revolution was in 1776.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that's when we flipped them the bird, right?
When did we get here?
We got here, like, I don't know, in the 1600s with the Pilgrims. But Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492.
That's
yeah,
right.
so
but
like,
he was sent here, dude, by the king, trying to find some gold.
El Rey.
I watched Pocahontas. Clearly, you didn't.
No, I didn't watch
Let's
Pocahontas.
see here. I got a call. I got to make a quick phone call.
Yeah,
here
we're gonna take a
We're
break.
Take a little break here,
Yeah.
and but before I'm gonna finish this thought because this is not.
This is very important stuff.
This is okay. So first off, when did we leave England? 1620. The
Puritans.
The ship was headed for Virginia. The colonists, half religious
Roanoke
dissenters and half entrepreneurs, have been authorized to settle by the British crown. So technically, that is not what happened, right? So they came here at direction.
But do you think they were using ounces then or pounds?
Well, I think eventually. Okay, I'm gonna look.
Yeah. When did the metric system and the whatever system, the imperial system? Is it imperial and metric?
Etymology, first thing. Ounce derives from the ancient Roman uncia, a unit that the ancient Roman units of measurement weighing about 27.35 grams or 0.967 of an avid upus ounce, whatever the F that word means, was 1/12 of the Roman pound libra. This in turn comes from Latin uno, aka one, and thus originally meant simply unit. Okay, that was the etymology.
Were you talking?
Yeah.
I fell asleep.
And one of the people also asked, suggested by Google, by the way, is an ounce a cat? So I'm gonna click on the snow leopard, Panthera uncia, also known as an ounce, is a field in the genus Panthera, native to the mountain ranges of Central South Asia. So yes, technically, also an ounce is
a cat. Oh, okay.
Which is not something I would have. Oh, why is a leopard called an ounce? Next Google search. Eventually, the L fell off, and the name became simply once, and that became in English ounce. These days, among English-speaking people, snow leopards are most commonly known as snow leopards. French speakers call them Panthe des Negres. Spanish speakers call them Leopardo Nival. And I can't believe
we still don't have the
answer here. Good.
You have to make that call.
I know. It's 5:03. We got one more minute here.
All right.
One more minute here. So when did we start using ounces?
versus metric.
System.
I think it's the imperial system.
I think you're right.
Or imperial. I don't know.
Meter thin kilogram for mass adopted in France 1795. Used in almost all countries. Why did the U.S. switch to metric? Bigger reason hasn't adopted the metric system. Simply time and money.
Oh, that
two
makes
things
sense.
I wish I had more of.
We all do.
When the Industrial Revolution began in the country, okay, so probably that was 1768. You were probably right. Expensive manufacturing plants became the main source of American jobs and consumer products. It has nothing to do with anything.
Very interesting. That was a fun rabbit hole that we have just gone down. And stay tuned. You're going to hear a quick commercial from Nutra or LaCroix, and we will be right back.
Make a quick phone call to one of our clients. Thanks for listening. Oh, gosh.
All right. Let's turn the recording because today's my deadline for orders for a Sunday delivery. So I have to put my order in by Wednesday. So yours is probably Thursday. And so here's where it gets tricky, too. How long have you been doing it?
It's 2 weeks.
So at the beginning, everybody's very on it, on ordering.
Then you just get the same shit.
And then you just get the same thing every time. And then then when they stop making, maple glazed chicken or whatever, and they substitute it with brisket over cauliflower rice. Every now and then, if you're not on it, you get something, you're like, oh, not my favorite. But,
And you said the cauliflower rice, not great.
It's not terrible. It's just I got to put a little extra. So last night, I went into the refrigerator to get the sriracha out, to put a little sriracha on.
Love some sriracha.
I love the sriracha. And it was the ghost pepper sriracha. And
see you later.
And Andrew even said, "Is that the hot one?" And I was like, "No, it doesn't say anything about it." And it poured it all over it. And I'm like, "Why is this so hot?" And I went in the refrigerator, and he's like, "Does it have a yellow sticker on it that says ghost peppers?"
I don't know why you would even buy ghost pepper sriracha. Sriracha's kind of
spicy on its own.
Yeah, man, you really need to level that up.
Oh, I didn't know I was leveling it up like that.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, but I love my Nutra.
All
right.
Here we are, minute 27.
Yeah.
We said the word trusts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We do those. Yeah. And estates.
No one's still listening.
I think that more people are listening to this one than anyone,
maybe,
right?
Maybe, right. So, yeah, let's just
I feel like this has been our most productive podcast yet.
It's certainly been the most fun. We've talked about chickens. We've talked about rotisserie chickens. We're, of course, sponsored by LaCroix again here. And
LaCroix, what are you doing to us with the limoncello?
Disgusting.
We love the lime. We love the pamplemousse. Nope. We love all the flavors.
Pamplemousse. I'm a straight lemon guy.
You don't like pamplemousse?
Nope.
Oh, see, that's my jam. I like the pink grapefruits.
Yuck.
Really? You're not a pink grapefruit guy?
Nope.
Mandarin orange, blood orange. You don't like any of them?
Nope.
Straight lime.
Lemon.
Not even lime. Lime is a.
It's okay.
Okay.
If I wanted a vodka soda, I would just go get a vodka soda. I don't want one right now, even though there's no vodka in it. That's what it tastes like.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
No dopamine hit when I drink this one.
I mean, there could be. You're supposed to hydrate. How's it feel? Okay, there's a dopamine hit.
All right, so here's the deal.
All right, tell me the deal.
So back in the day,
yeah,
it was all about the LLC.
Yeah.
Put your stuff in LLCs. The problem with LLCs, if you don't know, if you're an investor, new guy, gal trying to get into the game, you should not put that multi-unit property in your personal name.
Definitely not in your personal name.
You should put it in an LLC or, even better, a trust. We're going to talk shit, swore again, all about the LLC game here for a minute, and then we're going to pivot into why if there was a we should draw a Venn diagram on the board or have a pros and cons list. Maybe we can throw it up on the screen in the reel.
Yeah.
The reality is there's a lot more pros about the trusts than there is about the LLC. So
premise.
Always
it depends on your individual situation, right? Like there are always reasons for one versus the other, depending on what your individual situation is. And this is not specific legal advice in any way, shape, or form.
Not an accountant.
This is general
attorney.
Yeah, this is just general like feelings.
Seth's advice.
Yeah.
Of what I've personally done, what I would advise a client to do down the road when they start to accumulate some assets.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few things. So first off, I think most people aren't meeting with someone to put stuff in trusts and estates because of the cost. They are worried. It's a lot of work. It scares them, but it also costs some money. It's not cheap work, but it's very, very important work. And as I'm sure you'll point it out, significantly cheaper to do the work up front, pay the bill. Brendan here from Cherry Tree Legal will, of course, help you with either some type of...
Did you notice the sweatshirt today?
I like the logo on the arm as well.
Yeah.
My hoodie's already shrunk far too small. Can't wear it anymore. Jen has stolen it. I'd prefer a crew neck, a little bit kind of more professional. Can still wear them at the office maybe. So if you're looking to hook me up, let me know.
I may be able to do that.
Okay. Way more... way smarter, and in the long term significantly cheaper if you experience a life event or a death event, better said, and your stuff is held inappropriately.
Yeah.
Right.
So one of the reels that we've gotten a lot of traction on and a lot of people are liking and talking about is our good friend attorney Amy Garnis and title rep Jackie Medeiros talking about title issues with dead people, right?
No doubt.
A properly held trust can avoid a lot of those issues.
Yeah. I actually I was pulling up this text from Keegan's buddy, Doug Casano, out of Albany, New York, hit me with this great text. I think he's actually in like...
Can't wait to hear it.
Ready, Doug? I'm going to be...
Cooperstown?
If you're listening, Doug, you're going to be real shocked. I remember this. Doug lives in Ballston Spa.
Oh, it sounds fancy.
Real snoots.
Yeah.
Probably about 30, 45 minutes north of Albany. Terrible place to work and or live. Sorry, Doug. I hate it there. I'm on the record. I don't work there anymore.
Oh, you're doing to Hudson River Valley what I did to Maine?
Listen, the fact that I had to go to a casino in Schenectady, New York.
That just sounds fun.
They tried to put that thing in there to try and revive that city. It sucks. It's filled with trash. I don't even know what the average sales price of real estate there is. I will Zillow it here shortly. It can't be expensive. I mean, listen,
I've never seen you this speechless.
I'd take the drive to Maine 10 out of 10 times, all the broken down, shitty cars on the highway. I don't care. Coastal Maine, I also agree with Brennan. Beautiful.
And my mother, anything east of the Maine Turnpike.
Great. Man, Schenectady, not cool. Ballston Spa, Doug's got a great house. Thanks, Doug. Anywho, he sent me this text. By the way, I've talked to Doug twice in the last 5 years.
But Doug's clearly listening.
Both podcast related, loves the reels.
Yeah.
He said the Undertaker gone off as the third dead person appeared actually made me laugh out loud on the latest clip. And I said, dude, you got to listen to the latest podcast episode. Dude used to be an AP guy at Walmart and was legit kicking dude's ass to stop shrink. And he said, I'll give it a listen. Shout out, Doug.
From Balsam Spa.
And the old BBY crew. Keegan up in, I don't know, Centers, Fuckville, something. Sorry, Keegan. I forget where you live. It's very far away, and I'm probably never coming to visit, even though you
also in upstate New York?
Past Syracuse. 6
hours.
That's
just
way
kidding, Keegan.
I'll come visit you. Hope your back's feeling okay after falling out of a tree and almost dying.
Oh,
Anywho.
Did he get the people stealing the merchandise?
He was just hunting.
Oh. He wasn't trying to chase robbers.
He was just hunting, sitting in a tree stand, just going to get out.
What was he hunting? Birds? Chickens?
Hopefully it was chickens, yeah.
The rotisserie?
You need a tree stand. You need a tree stand to get those chickens. They're real nimble.
What do you think he was wearing in the tree?
I think he was probably wearing some black Carhartt type gear.
Not like duck camo?
I bet you he had maybe a nice pair of duck camo like overalls on. He was really saddled up there for a bit.
Orange hat?
I think you're supposed to be wearing an orange hat.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you, fun fact, he was on his sister's land, so I don't know who else was tramping around those woods. He might have had like a regular hat on, but Keegan's kind of a rule follower. I bet she had an orange hat on of sorts, yeah. Went unclipped out of that tree stand to kind of climb down. Tree stand broke, fell almost to his death.
What's a tree stand?
It's like a little tree fort, 40, 50 feet in the air.
Oh, so this wasn't like he was hanging out on a branch. Like he was on like a structure.
It was up there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's not the vision I had. I had a different vision.
And
So,
of course,
Keegan, I am really sorry. Hopefully you had a proper estate plan, healthcare proxies,
listen,
power of
way
attorneys,
to bring it back. He
all
probably does. Can
things.
you write a trust plan for Keegan in New York?
So that...
You probably have to run it by somebody out there just to double check.
We could do a Massachusetts trust. In Massachusetts, if Keegan came to Massachusetts, we would have to hire somebody in New York to transfer the property in New York. As much as I'd love to work with your buddy, he's better to hire, someone in New York.
A local expert.
My buddy from law school has an office in Cooperstown. He could always reach out to Ryan Myasek in Cooperstown, and he could help him with some estate planning.
Cooperstown sounds far away.
It's in New York.
New York's pretty big, right?
I mean, directionally.
Directionally large.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anywho, it's a fun Best Buy trip we just took down that lane up in the D54 crew. The reality is we were talking about the reel with a lot of legs right now, which is the third debt guy.
Yeah. So, what a trust does, and what I talk to all my clients about is that a trust is essentially an entity that we create today that survives your death, meaning when you own property as an individual, the moment you die and the undertaker shows up, your stuff's frozen if you're the last person on the chain, right? So a trust is like setting up a business or some other entity that then you transfer the property to, and the trust owns it, so that if you die or are incapacitated, the trust can take title to that and manage it and sell it after your death without the need of probate court. Right. So the topic that we were talking about with Amy was an improper transfer after someone's death that resulted in all sorts of probates.
And a lot of legal bills.
A lot of legal bills. I mean, something's got to pay my bills. So
no doubt. So I think that the point of that, right, is like you got some startup costs that obviously people might not want to shell out, but the reality is the alternative is months, if not years, more than likely years of, probate and all that type of stuff. And at the end of the day, can become significantly more costly if and when you have an issue.
Yep.
And, by the way, like as a guy with LLCs who's trying to sunset a few of them, the reality is those have annual subscriptions, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, we call them filing fees, but yeah, corporate maintenance fees, whatever you want to call them, right?
500 to 520, whatever it is, however you're paying it, a year per LLC.
And you know what else you get the benefit of? The Commonwealth of Massachusetts also, in addition to that, charges you a tax
on the business.
Hate
to see it.
Yeah, and that one's like $526 too. I just paid them. We just paid a couple of them.
Not good.
Yeah,
not good. Right. So not only are you paying those, so like I think I have 4 LLCs, soon to be 3, soon to be 2. Hopefully, if all keeps working out, soon to be 1. The reality is you have thousands of dollars of subscription fees. And I think what a lot of investors don't do, and they definitely should do, is they don't put them in separate LLCs, right? So
the other big mistake we see is that people treat their LLCs like ATM machines. They, don't have strong operating agreements. They don't have strong management and following of the procedures for the LLC. They don't segregate the expenses and income in the LLCs.
No.
And really, if push came to shove, like that may or may not survive a piercing of the corporate veil. You got it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's
so
the thing. You got to keep tight books, right? And so I agree with you. I mean, I think early on, most investors take it a lot more seriously. They acquire more property. They look at all these other costs, and they get a little lazy, and they throw them in multiple LLCs. And now you have, especially with the commingling of funds or this penetration of this corporate veil, when you don't keep tight books, if you actually end up in any type of litigation or anything like that, the reality is your stuff ain't safe.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, but what is safe, right? Like at the end of the day,
Well,
like,
that's a great question.
right?
Which our friends at Fred C. Church Insurance or Welsh and Parker are great folks that we like to kind of refer to and use. You should have a great umbrella policy that covers your butt.
Yeah.
Kim, I know I will renew mine. I let it lapse like a knucklehead.
Ooh, better call Kim.
She's on me about it.
All
Don't
right.
worry.
Or Bill and Mark, my buddies at Fred C. Church. But
super cheap, by the way.
like umbrellas.
Yeah.
Well, that's the beauty of insurance, right? Like insurance, like estate planning, right? So these are preventative measures that on the front end are significantly less expensive than the problems that they solve on the back end, right?
No
So
doubt.
like liability insurance for $5 million umbrella, not a lot of money.
No.
Coming up with the money to pay a $2 million loss for a liability problem, that's a lot of money.
And hypothetically selling assets that you didn't want to sell, those losses occurred, or that's where the claim was filed from, and you didn't hold your stuff tight, right? Like, by the way, trust protects a lot of this too.
It segregates it. It doesn't protect it because you always own it, right? So like you're always the owner. You own it in that capacity in that entity. So it's in a different entity, but it is not protected in the same way an LLC is. But, are the LLCs protected? I don't know. It depends on how you treat it.
They're limited liability.
They are limited, and they can get to the asset.
Yeah, no doubt. So
having some scheme is always better than none, and I
Yeah.
use scheme in its etymology, like the word scheme in terms of a structure versus the nefarious version of the word scheme.
Is that really how it was?
Yeah, scheme is like a plan or a design, right? Like a scheme or a schematic, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, I know a little etymology.
Mid-16th century, from Latin schema, from Greek schema. An early sense was a diagram of the position of a celestial object, giving rise to a diagram or outline, whence the current senses, which I don't understand the last person, or a plot. The unfavorable notion of a plot, to a degree, arose in the mid-18th century. 1 point for Attorney Ward.
Thank God my parents spent all that money on my education.
There you
right?
go.
It
So
has
you
come
could
in
come
handy.
on the Word podcast and just obliterate me with etymology of the word scheme.
I mean, I'm no Martin, but I do what I can. So Martin is a guest that we've had on previously that has a vocabulary, deep vocabulary. Also a St. John's guy. I think he read different books or paid attention in class more than I did.
Might have been in the AP setup.
I mean, I think I don't know. He was something. Or he likes to read. I don't know, but Marty's the best.
Marty is the best.
We digress. So having a scheme,
not the nefarious version.
Not the nefarious, the
authentic.
The authentic version of a scheme is better than nothing, right? And the same is true for estate planning. Like I meet with a lot of people, and you talked about barriers for planning, right? Like one of them potentially can be cost. I would suggest that a lot of the clients we meet with, the cost isn't really the barrier. The barrier is oftentimes the decision making, right? The barrier is oftentimes dealing with one's death or the thought of one's death, worrying about who's going to care for their kids or manage money for their kids when they're dead. Yeah. Like no one really is jazzed up to think about that.
Yeah, for sure.
So what I tell all my clients is a bad plan is better than no plan.
No doubt.
Right? So like a bad decision, like a crazy sister-in-law managing your kids versus nobody and having a conservatorship managed by the court is better to have a bad plan than no plan at all. Yeah. And the same goes with a corporate structure or scheme for your real estate, right? Like doing something, either having LLCs or trusts or some combination of the two is always better than doing nothing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And there is no right or wrong answer. I think that if you don't want to maintain a lot of LLCs, if you're not, opposed to lots of insurance, having separate trusts and LLC management company that sort of is hired by each trust to manage all the properties, like that's a decent strategy. Liability, and the thing that most people worry about is getting sued, right? So
Sure.
you got to dissect that a little, right? So my job as a lawyer is to talk to people and really figure out what the problem is. Oftentimes people think that they're telling you what the problem is, and sometimes it's different. So, getting sued, you have to do a couple things. Like, you have to be responsible for the damage, right? So, like, you have to be a bad landlord, and you have to have been, negligent in some way to even be liable. Like, if you're a bad landlord and the stairs suck and the lighting's bad and you are a slumlord, then yeah, I'd be worried about it.
Right.
If you're a good landlord and you are doing the right thing,
Sure.
obviously there's always going to be, scumbags that are going to sue people. But the ability to get to massive assets is much smaller. So then are we worried about credit? What other creditors are we worried about, right? So LLCs provide protection at an individual level against creditors. Creditors can be mortgage companies, but they're going to make you waive it anyway if the mortgage is on that building. Creditors can be people you hit in your car, right? Creditors can be people that sue you for being injured on the property. So liability coverage can cover you. And if, if you're worried about it and you have a $5 million umbrella and that's going to cover you, and someone falls down the stairs and breaks a leg, what's that worth? $300,000? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
To get to the level of, liability that really is going to impact you at a significant level, you have to really have a lot of things in play at the same time.
So would an irrevocable trust shelter?
Yeah, so irrevocable trusts are because you don't own it. So in trusts, how we look at whether or not a creditor has access to the trust is the person who has created the trust, called the grantor or the trust maker, their ability to control the trust and remove things from it. So once you create a trust and you give up the power to change the trust itself, that is now not considered your asset because you've already given it to whoever the beneficiaries are. So that is credit protected to some extent, depending on, once again, like an LLC though, like if you in theory say like I give this to somebody else and like all the transactions are you like waving to the ATM machine taking money out, right? Like eventually a smart litigator is going to get that out.
Yeah.
So if you're a good person and you're managing in a responsible way,
it shouldn't be an issue.
None of it should be an issue.
Yeah.
And always having the appropriate amount of insurance.
Yeah.
But there are some scenarios where maybe LLCs make more sense, right? So when you own interest in an LLC, you don't own real estate. You own the company that owns the real estate. So sometimes, maybe if you move to Florida and there's no estate tax in Florida and you own property in Massachusetts, maybe you do want an LLC so that when you die, maybe it's not per se an asset that needs to be held up by the DOR for estate tax purposes to sell before you can transfer. So like there's always, every situation has a different answer depending on what the facts are of that family or person. Did I answer any of the questions that you posed?
You did.
Okay, good.
I don't really have too many.
Oh.
But just trying to play along.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So their trusts are entities that you create that survive your death, that you give stuff to. And like a business, they have an operating agreement, which is a trust agreement. And then it's just a matter of figuring out what the hell we're going to do.
Right. So, yeah, when I was talking about the cost structure thing, I feel like my mind was towards like the new homeowner.
Yeah.
You have young kids. They are buying furniture.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of new cost with home ownership.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a reason why home ownership drives so many economic events because every home purchase usually spurs like 60 to 80K in new economic growth between all the stuff you're going to do. You're hiring a landscape, you're hiring furniture, whatever, right? You got to get new appliances.
You now own an asset that is a problem.
So, well, not necessarily, but
from an estate planning perspective, right? It creates a new issue that needs to be solved. Like when you're a renter, like no one,
it doesn't matter.
No one's caring what happens to that apartment upon your death.
Right. So you have that, and there's a lot of new expenses, and I feel like that's the right time to talk to a potential client or immediately thereafter about embarking on this journey when they just made one of the biggest financial decisions that they made, right? So that's kind of where my headset was coming up.
Yeah.
Like it feels like initial, like there would be some insult to injury is not the right word, but like there'd be some hesitation to double down on something like that when, most other folks, I think probably the more common client is someone who is having a health event later on in life, or had something tragic happen in their family and they feel unprepared, or they're just getting older in general. And, I think everyone's wealth position is different, right?
Absolutely.
Towards the end of their life, right? So that was just where my more of like from my industry, the buying and selling side, that's where I kind of see it. And we've talked a lot about how just our past clients should probably consider, doing this type of work if they haven't already.
Yeah. And I think we hit on really the reason why it's so important, right? So like if you're a first time home buyer and you've been renting, but prior to that, you didn't have assets that were going to get locked up at the death of you at probate, because you most likely had, brokerage accounts, bank accounts, which you can put a beneficiary on, right? So upon your death, any account that has a beneficiary, as a matter of contract law, that asset becomes the beneficiaries, right? So you go to the bank, you show them a death certificate. They're like, here's your money. Have a good day. Sorry for your loss. But with a piece of real estate, you don't have the ability to have a beneficiary. And then, so...
Unless they're on the deed.
Right? So the deed, if it's a husband and wife, they, God forbid something happens in a car accident, kids are with the babysitter, like huge problem that has lots of ongoing ramifications that are not great. So those are people that we like to talk to and talk through.
Right.
Like, but the costs don't just stop there, right? So like we're then going to keep talking to them about, well, have we thought about income replacement? Have we thought about mortgage protection planning? Have we thought about like if one of you dies, like you guys both work, kids are in daycare, or the kids are, in school, but like who's going to care for them if one of you dies?
That's tough
like,
to figure out.
Is there a nanny? So we're going to recommend life insurance. We're going to recommend financial planning. So, unfortunately the cost doesn't end with just the legal planning. We're going to make recommendations for a whole bunch of other stuff, because there's nothing more heart-wrenching. And I had to do it the other day, to talk to somebody after they lost their spouse and explain to them that they have to move out of their house because they can no longer afford it, and that there wasn't any life insurance to cover the mortgage. And, their spouse died in this one, it was a catastrophic incident, sudden, right?
Yeah, it sucks.
And
yeah, talk about like your life's upside down.
Yeah.
That's insult to injury. You know what I mean? So yeah, listen, if you don't have, or if you're asking yourself, if you're listening right now and you're like, wow, I feel unprepared, I'm not sure what I should do, we'll put all of Brendan's contact info, obviously, in the show notes. And
we'll also give you a LaCroix.
A delicious LaCroix. Do you stock LaCroix at your office?
We are going to.
Wow.
Now, we are going to replace the Belmont Springs, or whatever it is, with LaCroix.
Yeah, so like listen,
or at least add an option.
Whether it's the life insurance, the extra insurance, the umbrella insurance, the LLC that you hold your existing rental property in, whatever it is, or you just got a single family condo primary residence and you're hanging out there, with your family, and you're wondering, man, I feel unprepared, you should hit up Brendan. I don't want to say free consult. Is the consult free?
We do not charge for consults.
So
my coaches are all, so a lot of the lawyers in most of my coaching programs do. And that is a big push that I have not felt comfortable implementing in our practice.
Yeah.
So not yet, but depending on when you listen to this.
Free phone conversation with Brendan Ward. And if it makes sense, he'll invite you in for maybe a paid consult to help you.
Or
talk.
maybe not. Maybe we credit that back for
Look at that
podcast
little
listeners.
Little rebate,
$500 value right
for
there.
the word
listeners.
Word
listeners.
Yeah. So, but definitely reach out. And I know that, like, listen, we should probably talk because I still have too many LLCs, and I should probably move some stuff into trusts. And then just more of an accounting question, not that you should answer this, but so when you create a new trust, a real estate trust for a new property, should you then also keep those books separate, or can you then commingle?
So, great question. Certainly tailored to individual situations and should be run by your accountant, but the structure we recommend, and I think, and I've talked to a couple accountants, no one's posed objection to it.
I think I know what it
is to create one LLC.
That's the property manager.
The property management company. Have each realty trust hire your property management company to manage the properties. The rents get paid to the property management LLC. The property management LLC pays the mortgages, pays the bills, distributes the income or whatever
Keeps
to the
whatever,
trusts or trustees, or whatever the direction is of the trustee who owns the actual property. That way you have your LLC, you have your income structure that you can use for however you and your accountant decide to deal with it. And you can, in QuickBooks, have each property have its own sort of ledger,
yeah.
but all under that one LLC. You can do one bank account. So if you are overwhelmed with 12 bank accounts for 12 different pieces of property, and you're trying to juggle all this stuff, it's probably good to hire a bookkeeper, run everything in through one LLC, segregate the books in QuickBooks, and be able to have some robust reporting all in one thing, run through one bank account.
Yeah.
And probably creates predictability for the landowner.
Yeah. And then when you go to sell, you get a nice pro forma, real P&L. You can share real expenses.
So when you're on your big pocket spreadsheet, as the bigger
pockets.
Oh, I just called it big pockets.
Yeah, you need
bigger.
You need bigger than that.
Oh, I need giant pockets.
Yeah, huge pockets.
Yeah,
we should open a new website called Huge Bigger Pockets.
Yeah, or just giant pockets.
Giant pockets. Giantpockets.com coming soon.
I wonder if they're like.
I bet you ChatGPT could whip up a website that looks just like Bigger Pockets, but we could call it Giant Pockets.
Do you think that tailors could make pants with giant pockets? Like you could just sell them.
Sure,
like here's some giant pocket pants.
That's actually the website. It's giantpockets.com, and all we did was sell huge pants.
No, pants with huge pockets. Not huge pants. We're eating Nutra to cut down on the huge pants. Yeah. We just want huge pockets in our smaller pants.
Got it. Okay.
Got it.
Now everybody knows Huge Bigger Pockets coming soon to your local retail tailor shop. While we are also, what were we storing here earlier?
LaCroix?
Nope, it was something else ridiculous.
Nutra?
No, it was something else.
We were storing
seafood.
it in...
Was it seafood?
Nope, I don't think so. In this building?
Yeah. In the third wing, I said we're going to set it up over there.
Oh, the Farm Fresh Eggs. Farm Fresh eggs from Lane. Thanks, Lane.
Coming from 61 Boardman Street to a door near you.
I mean, an organic market could be a wonderful use for the space here at Reference Real Estate. You could have Farm Fresh eggs or a new home. I like it.
What a segue.
Yeah, I like it.
Have you thought about purchasing eggs and complaining about your egg cost? By the way, any thoughts of buying or selling?
Yeah. I mean, your eggs are going to be so expensive that people aren't going to be complaining about them.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth?
All right.
Anything else we didn't cover? You want to hit the market real quick? What's going on in the market?
I would love to talk about that because I always want to hear your take.
Oh man,
I try to stay up on it. I think that I don't want to pat myself on the back too much, but like I do think that I try to stay.
You're hanging
pretty knowledgeable. Yeah, I try to stay on it.
Well, let me ask you this question. We haven't even talked about this yet.
The email you sent me last night. No, not that one.
No, which, by the way, if you haven't heard, we've been talking about it since literally November. It's March 29th as it sits today. Brendan and I have been calling for the commercial real estate bubble. It has, I actually think that everyone's been calling for it for a year, off the record for 6 months. It's now like very much on the record a year later since we've started talking about it hot and heavy for the last 6 months. It's getting a little worrisome out there between, see, now we're talking about it, between reduced occupancy, return to office, not return to office, expensive costs, and the bigger thing, which I think was a little bit, it wasn't really like, I mean, you could have
For
seen
the record,
coming.
we weren't calling this.
We weren't calling it for this.
This was the side angle that was like, bam, didn't see that one coming.
Which we should have saw.
We should have.
Frankly, like it's all about readjusting commercial mortgages. So if you don't know, most commercial mortgages have prepayment penalties. They also have maturity dates. Most loans are amortized at 20, 25 years, sometimes more, sometimes less. And the most have a balloon of maybe 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years, sometimes 25, but usually not that long. And the rate is only fixed for 5 years, pretty typical. So most, you bought a commercial building in 2018.
Are they set it and forget it? No, they're not like a rotisserie chicken. They are
like
not like a rotisserie chicken. Okay.
Maybe for 5 years.
Yeah.
And then you better...
So 5 years ago was what, 2018?
2018.
Pre-pandemic.
Huge run-up. Nobody
was leaving the office.
Even if you started to buy commercial real estate on a hypothetical downturn, 2019, 2020, 2021, who knows? You thought you got a good deal. The reality is now rates have doubled. Commercial real estate, as we've talked about before with Brian and Adriana Michella, this is all about the debt service coverage, meaning you have to have enough coverage on the debt that you have to DCSR, debt service coverage ratio.
Yeah.
Right? So usually you need that at 1.2. So the previous example we've used plenty of times is 1. If you had 12 grand in revenue, you can only have 10 grand in expenses to pay the debt. For the debt service, so that you'd have $2,000 of cash flow. Well, guess what? When you bought that building and it covered its debt at a great ratio and all was good, and you had full occupancy, all was groovy. Next thing you know, maybe you get a tenant dip out because of COVID or whatever else is happening. Now it doesn't look like you're covering. You have to send your tax returns annually and kind of report the revenue. They're going to check that. They're going to call the note due. Or worst case scenario, boom, a little bit of a rate correction, a little bit of adjust. Those things are hitting. All of a sudden, you go from a 4% or a 3% commercial note to 6.5 or 5.5, usually a couple hundred basis points above the local rate. And the reality is now your building loses you money.
And at the same time, you have the
defaults.
You have the drying up of the credit markets.
If you're a small
regional
bank,
banks.
If you're a small bank right now, you ain't lending.
Nope.
Right? So no one wants to help save you from that purchase.
Seth, who are the majority of commercial real estate lenders in the United States of America?
They're all small local regional banks.
They're small local regional banks.
100%.
Yeah,
right,
who aren't lending right now. I had lunch last week with a lender from a pretty mid to large size regional bank who said he hadn't written a loan in February.
Well, that's because deals are this a lot harder to pencil out right now, right? So listen, there's billions of dollars of commercial real estate default already, and so we'll see what happens. But that's not what we were going to talk about.
Oh, what were we going to talk about?
I don't know. You said was it about the email you sent me last night? We're going to talk about the market.
Yeah, that's the market. Part of the market.
Commercial real estate bubble. You heard it here.
Yeah.
Maybe first, maybe not, maybe like seventh, but we've been talking about it a while.
It's still developing.
We're patting ourselves in the back with that. We know what's up. Next, what do you think interest rates residentially will be in Q4 2023?
Ooh.
What's your take? We haven't even talked about this.
We have not. That is off the cuff. So interest rates, I think, are going to be irrelevant. I think the problem is going to be there's not going to be lending. I think we're going to see tightening lending. I think we're going to be tightening lending standards. I think it will depend on where the job market is. I think that if we see the job market change, we may see some tightening of lending standards. We might not see as much lending.
Guys dodging my question right now.
So let's, probably mid sixes.
Okay, so Brendan is officially on record at a mid 6.
And for the record, I am always wrong with these interest rate questions.
I don't have the article in front of me. I'm trying to find it right now.
He's going to say like 4.7.
No, I'm going to say Q4, you're going to see rates in the low 5s.
In the low fives.
Low
I mean,
fives.
I hope we see it.
That's my take. I'll tell you a few different things. This is why I think that's true. First off, I don't know. Let's just fully disclose. You're wrong. I could be wrong. You could be right. I'm wrong. Who knows? The reality is 9 different industries, not industries, but different huge banks, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they all went on record, Realtor.com, and they all gave their rate predictions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think Bank of America was the lowest one, saying that at the end of this year, they'll be in the low 5s.
When did they make these predictions?
Recently.
Yesterday?
Recently, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you have like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they're like 6.5, 6.4, whatever it is, right? They just do what each other's, whatever the other person does, they just cover and copy. And then I think it was like Realtor.com said they're going to stay somewhere in the 7s, right? So even all of these conglomerate companies are guessing, and the spread is 200 basis points of rate. So like, don't take my prediction that I actually know what's going on. But what I'll tell you is I watched a great video. Barry Habib knows a lot about what he's talking about in the mortgage industry, convincing me of why they'll be in the low 5s.
And what did it take to convince you?
Yeah, so a couple different things. And obviously, just this last year, we've been forced to pay significant attention to this part of economics and how much it drives the real estate market. It's made me super sharp lately. Over the last year, it's way more than it was in years past, right? So a couple things. First off, we all know that inflation has lagging effects.
Yes.
Right? So with the Fed raising rates today or last week doesn't instantly curb much. It has long-lasting effects, like the collapse of SVB Bank, and listen, that's on them, but it's also a little bit of an issue in rates and the bond market being, the investments that they made became worthless for whatever reason, right? So, not whatever reason.
Less so Silicon Valley Bank, more so Credit Suisse, but
I'm actually not caught up as much as Credit Suisse as I am the rest, but
those bondholders got hosed. It sounds like the SVB bondholders are going to be relatively okay.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. So you have inflation that's lagging.
Yeah.
Like solving inflation is lagging, and the metrics look back. It's not it's not a prediction. It's everything's a lagging metric, meaning it happened previously, and we're trying to find out what happened, right? So, and that's how rates just 100% follow inflation. 100%. Like if you just chart inflation and mortgage rates, the graphs look the same, right? If you look at Fed raising the interest rate and mortgage rates, they're all over the place. Because why? Because it doesn't follow that. It follows inflation. So last year, March, inflation super high. All of a sudden, Fed freaks out, starts raising rates. Everyone saw the inflation data, and mortgage rates go from low 4s into the 5s, into the 6s in a period of like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Huge movement, and we have been super volatile in interest rates for mortgages ever since. Okay, so that's number one. So guess what today is? It's March and April. So that was last year at this time. Well, what is inflation reporting?
It's starting to tail, no?
Yeah, it's starting to tail, but it's all because it's reporting year over year inflationary data at the end of the day, right? And yeah, there's a huge tail in it. And I think it's like a third of the weight of the inflation data is housing.
Yep.
Right? So as we start to go year over year of inflation, we're going to start to see lower numbers.
Because we had lower volume all year.
Because we had lower volume, we had price compression, we had less purchases, the rates went up. We started to handle inflation, albeit it's still not handled enough. Housing was a huge part of that. If you take out housing from it, inflation looks much, much better. And so in the near future here, these next 3, 4, 5 months, housing is going to normalize a little bit in the inflation data, and I think you'll see the data from an inflation standpoint start to look really, really well, not good, but it's significantly better than it has been. Okay. Second, also part of housing, rents went up significantly all last year.
Yeah.
I've been of the opinion, my personal rental portfolio, we gave people rental deals during COVID. We simply went back. It wasn't 30, 40%, but that's what it looked like statistically on paper. It was really like a 10 or 15%. It is what it is. Well, guess what? Locally, rents are either up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7%, depending on the immediate community. But like Revere, for instance, it's down 7%, right? So rents are starting to kind of flatline
but
out.
Is that a supply and demand thing? Because Revere's had a lot of supply come on.
Listen, I think in general, there's a lot of housing supply hitting, specifically in apartment buildings. All of these apartments that are being, whether it's the Linway or anywhere, it's apartments, not condos. And so, listen, I think rents, you just check the math. The reality is they're starting to stabilize. So home prices have slowed. We lost back a lot of appreciation that we gained the front quarter of last year. We still ended up positive, but instead of it being 30%, it was like 2%. Rents are starting to stabilize. So now you have housing that is showing the leading indicator. I can look at it right now. What's happening?
Yeah.
It's not in the inflation data yet.
And it will take, 30 to 45 days to get there?
Yeah, listen, I don't actually know the answer to that question. I think it's like
if we're putting something under contract today, it's not going to close for 45 days.
For sure. And you see, there's all these other data points: mortgage applications up, new home starts up, down, whatever, right? Like,
I know from my own pipeline, like April looks better than March.
100%.
Right.
It usually does, right?
Yeah.
Spring. A lot of stuff's hitting right now. So anyway, housing, it was hurt slightly. It will recover. I'm not really worried about it. The reality is that's a big part of the inflation data, and it's going to start to deflate, for lack of a better word. So with all of that info, you've probably seen the highest interest rates, hopefully, we've seen so far this year. Then they should tick down. They're very volatile still right now because of all of the volatility in banking and, the Fed doing what it's doing, which I think the White House and Yellen doesn't want them to do. And they know that there's some lagging effects that I don't think I've flushed out yet. So listen, who knows? I just think that with all of the housing data and the inflation data being curbed and going year over year over crazy stuff last spring, last summer, I think the data will start to tell the weighted comparison that it is being controlled, albeit not enough. And I think with that, rates will slowly take the stairs down.
Because they go up with an elevator and come down with
stairs. That's right.
Yeah.
And eventually Q4 will end up somewhere sub 5.5. So listen, if you're listening, hit us up in the comments, comment on YouTube, whatever it is, however you're listening. We want to know what you think.
I think what's interesting about all of that you just said is that there was a 200 basis point range
spread and whatever
between what everybody thinks. And I think what that tells us is no one knows.
Agreed.
Right? So anybody who thinks they're timing the market, the best time to buy a house is now because we know what it is, right? So like today is always the best time to buy because you know what you're getting into. The rates could skyrocket tomorrow or they could go down. Well, guess what? If they go down, you can refi and get out of that loan. But, if they go up and you wait, like, what about the folks that, a year and a half ago were like, prices are too high, I'm waiting. Yeah. And now they're a lot higher. And now it's a lot more expensive to get into. So, like, timing the market is never a great thing.
Dangerous game.
Very dangerous game, especially with a spread of 200 basis points.
Yeah.
Like, that tells us no one has any idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, they don't know.
Right.
So the good news is more homes are hitting the market, and I think we'll start to see that.
And more buyers. So I did I tell you this? I told you about we went to an open house this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And it was bananas. There were so many people just like crawling out of the woodwork. It was traffic jam.
Yeah.
Couldn't find a parking spot like in the suburbs.
It's crazy.
On a cul-de-sac, like,
that's what it's like right now.
Yeah.
The buyers have heated up and listen, I think the inventory will continue to be crunched because all these buyers, half of them aren't selling their homes to buy the new one. They're going to become landlords, right? So that's going to continue to fuel.
Or they were a tenant.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right. And they want to pay themselves instead of the landlord.
Yeah.
And we still have the most restrictive zoning around. We still make it really hard to build stuff. So like we're always gonna we don't have a ton of land to put it on.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have an inventory problem. Like it's not going away.
For a very long time, unless commercial real estate pops and everyone freaks out and puts their house on the market. But I don't think that will happen.
Or unless people give up. So the thing I'm afraid of is that people give up on Massachusetts and they're like, yeah, it's just, it doesn't make sense anymore. I'm going to move to Florida. I'm going to move to Arizona. I'm going to move to North Carolina where there's ample housing stock.
Yeah.
And
I don't think that'll actually happen. Listen, people are leaving Massachusetts, but it's not fast enough.
Okay.
So
I hope you're right.
I don't think it'll be. Yeah, listen, we'll see what happens. But I'm trying to pull right now. So listen, from an inventory standpoint, we're sitting as of this morning in MLS PIN around the Boston area, 3,100 homes on the market. Interesting day. That is collectively less than 1 month of supply in general. Crazy.
What was it a month ago?
So we're fluttering essentially over and over again between 2,400 and 2,800 homes on the market today. Snapping the chalk line on a Wednesday. A lot of new stuff hitting the market. I always list Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and stuff like I put in like literally a dozen showing requests around the North Shore in the last 48 hours, and literally every single one of those homes that was on the market 5-6 days. Hey, sorry, we accepted an offer. Hey, sorry, we accepted an offer. Hey, sorry, you can show up for backup. So the reality is a lot of those are still active in the MLS. They are not contingent or pending yet. And so that number is probably artificially high. So I'll continue to watch that over the next couple of days and kind of hit it out to people. But the reality is, it's better than it was. It's not enough homes, right? Less than a month's supply. Crazy enough, this time last year, there was 2 weeks of supply. So we've doubled our supply. It's a 78% increase year over year. In approximate months of supply, it's a 48% increase in homes available, 1,000 more available today. But at the end of the day, this is a fun number. Listings taken as of today, last year, 10,106 listings taken as of today, 2023, 8,400. That's 17% less homes on the market this year. That's a bad sign, although inventory right now is up year over year. And then listings went pending. Also, fun fact, 9,700 last year, 8,100 right now. Also 16% down this year as well. So, last fun fact.
You know what there's ample supply of, though, Seth?
Condos.
LaCroix. At your local market, there is always LaCroix.
Closed units also down 25%, meaning less on the market, less going pending, less actually selling. Wow, that was loud. I feel like I was just got hit by a truck. Do
you think it hit our cars?
Hopefully it did. Yeah, jeez. Trade me up, man. Average sale price, though, up 3%. So, yeah, market's really hot all of a sudden right now. So we've been saying that for a little while now, but
the market follows the weather, right?
The
gets
market
hot out. The market gets
the
hot.
Weather. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
I've never heard that.
I just made it up.
I should get that on a T-shirt. Okay. Yeah. Anything else you want to hit before we wrap it on the pod?
No, I'm about to go home and have a Nutra with some LaCroix. So I am living my best life, and I can't think of anything better.
You hit me up with which one you have. By the way, bourbon barbecue steak tips, not bad.
Oh, I've never gotten the steak tips.
So I think the steak tip is a measure of whether or not meal prep is good or not. I only ordered one of them because I would have figured it was going to taste like dog shit.
Yeah.
And probably dry and small. These were great tips.
We went to the Lazy Dog the other night. Speaking of steak tips, I was
nothing better than the Lazy Dog steak tip sandwich sometimes. Great fries there.
Any way you can get it. They have the best steak tips that I've ever had.
I got to be honest with you. Burger there, pretty delightful. Haven't been there in a minute, but used to frequent that place.
Fried cheese curds weren't the best, but the steak tips.
I didn't know the dog was serving up poutine now.
No. It was not poutine. It
haven't been there.
Fried cheese curds.
Haven't been there in at least several years. Fun fact, about 15 years ago, might have done a couple keg stands behind that bar.
At the Golden Circle?
No.
When it was the Lazy Dog? Has it
Hell
been
yeah.
the Lazy Dog that long?
Oh, yeah, man.
Oh, God, that makes me feel old.
I used to drink at the Lazy Dog when I didn't have an ID.
Well, I used to drink at the Golden Circle. That was
I
before the
remember
Lazy Dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
Mhm.
But, yeah, man, we the Best Buy crew and I closed down that place more days than I can
Was there any
count.
shrinkage?
That place definitely had some controllable erosion. There's no question about it.
When those Best Buy guys show up.
I don't think I'm supposed to say that we used to stay there till like 4 a.m.
Well, that was a different time.
Yeah.
And no one from that time period is still around, probably. So I think you're good.
Great times, though.
Yeah.
Great times.
Well,
I don't recommend taking a keg stand under a bar tap, by the way. Very tough.
Yeah.
Very tough. Better doing it at home. Keep it clean.
Probably better after a couple Nutras and slim down and got a little
you
more
gotta go there.
fit.
You gotta go there for the tips, man.
Yeah, but you got to hold yourself up on the keg
someone
stand.
else holds you up.
I know, but what if you could do it just like on your own strength?
Well, I'm
That'd
not
be pretty
I'm
impressive.
not an Olympic gymnast.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so anywho,
we
another
digress.
episode of The Word. Goodbye.
Later. I like that.